Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. You don't know, my name's Chad. Take a dive into sports. And welcome to my continuing saga of my top 50 greatest baseball players for each position. Today's video will concentrate on the first baseman. Now, as you notice, this series kind of, incorporated a few of the segregated league players, the old school players prior to the advent of the modern day American League. Some modern day players, so this list will include quite a few additional players, and then be a few different caveats in there to kind of limit the number of players available for the first base position. But before I dive in all that situation, if you could go ahead, smash that thumbs up for me, especially like the content provided. It really pleases you two guys, really help promote the channel out. You can also subscribe. A lot of you guys are viewing my work. Not many of you subscribe. It does cost you a dime. Helps me provide more entertainment value for you. Now, with this list, it's like any other list. Any player that has been that does multiple positions, if they're in the Hall of Fame, it's their primary position they're in the Hall of Fame for. Those not in the Hall, normally it's just the one they're both recognized for. Like a key player I like to throw out there is Rob Yount. He's better. I think he's better known as an outfielder, but he went to the Hall of Fame as a shortstop. So you'll see him as a shortstop in the coming weeks, or coming video, should I say. Any player that's been banned for baseball would not be on this list. Any player who has been suspended twice or for half or more of the season will also not be eligible for this list. So there'll be no Pete Rose, no A-Rod. And pretty much anyone's really, admitted use, and there's definitely of their usage that actually helped them perform in a higher value, like King Caminiti. When he won his MVP, he was juicing at the time frame. So those players will be ineligible for this type of a scenario. This is just a list of the top 50 first basemen. There's been a lot of quality players sitting there at that first position. Big hurt Frank Thomas, the big one. David Ortiz was actually a first baseman, but he's not listed here for first base. You'll see him later in the DH role. The Mark McGwire will make an appearance, yes, even though he's tied to the possibilities of PEDs. He never tested positive, nor has he ever admitted to it, even though he may look like he did. Lou Gehry, I think everyone knows him. One of the all-time greats that ever played first base. So there's a lot of big names in here that people recognize, and they're kind of ranked-ish in a skewed system, trying to come up with a kind of best way to help the old school players be on the same level as the current players, which is hard to do because there's different factors. But one thing I found amazing with baseball, looking over all these stats, is that not really much really changed in terms of stats between pre-American League to modern day players. I mean, they all had RBIs, they all had hits, they all had home runs, they all had batting averages. And the older players seem to have the better batting average than the newer players. No, I think they just got the bat more, so they had a better possibility. And then the pitching is not the same, I think, if you look at it that way. But anyways, I'm just splitting hairs here. You'll see me in other videos. It's gonna be a little presentation of my selection of the top 50 first basemen of all time. Is this a perfect list? By no means. Like I said, this is my list. Everyone will have their own opinion who's number one, and I'm sure they'll have a few choice words about my number one. But overall, I think he is right up there, and the one that I think everyone consider as the best first baseman of all time. I got him number 3. But hey, just sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, I hope you enjoyed that presentation of those 50 players I consider the best. As you may have noticed, there were 17 Hall of Famers, 2 of them in the Canadian Hall of Fame, which is not the same thing as the one in Cooperstown. 49 World Series titles, 26 league MVPs, 88 gold gloves, a platinum glove, 68 silver sluggers, 263 all-star selections, 4 All-NBA, and of course that one Major League Baseball All-Century Team selection for Lou Gehrig. Now, like any list, there's also going to be what I consider cutting room floor. These are your additional players you already can consider. And for each position, the number of players available is going to vary immensely. You may have 15, you may have 25, depending on how many players that I would consider for these particular marks. And first baseman's only 15 available. With these 15, 8 of them are Hall of Famers. This means between the two lists, all the Hall of Famers are represented. You have additional 15 World Series titles, 23 gold gloves, 5 silver sluggers, and 25 all-star selections. And most of these, to kind of point out there, are pre-1900, where they started their careers. These are kind of like the GOATs that everyone were considered, and then Lou Gehrig took over, and then he's pretty much the pinnacle right now. You can argue beyond that if some other players of today's game or ones back in the 90s take that over. But one of the players in here, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there, is better known as a major league owner. But he was definitely one of the premier athletes at first baseman. That's Charles Kaminsky. That's right, the Charles Kaminsky, one is behind the Kaminsky Park. Former owner of Chicago White Sox. He was the owner during the Black Sox scandal when they threw the 1919 World Series. To spite the owner because he didn't treat his players well, according to some sources. So, but he was a great first baseman. He had a lot of key stats. And also, one of the first ones to get inducted up to the Hall of Fame. So, kind of spoiled well of them for you. You'll see them in the list later on. But let's go ahead and throw out these cutting room floor honorable mentions. How you want to put them, and I'll see you when you return. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. The honorable mentions, cutting room floor editions of the first baseman. There were still a couple other names I want to kind of throw out there that were definitely considered. John Olerud was another one that I really consider to throw up there. But because, of those who won, they're in the Hall of Fame, kind of took first crack at being in the honorable mentions. So John Olerud kind of find themselves outside of that, even though he would definitely be better than some of the ones that are in the Hall. But that's just, time and place. Joe Pepitone was another one. Stuffy McInnes, another one of those old school players, but he has one of the great names of Stuffy. I mean, he had over 2,400 hits. So there's definitely a couple other ones floating out there that were considered that didn't quite make the cutting room. They're still on the floor. But it doesn't mean is this list 100% complete by no means. Like I said, you could probably throw John Root up there and probably knock off someone else, like maybe like JT Snow or something crazy like that, or even Cecil Cooper or Eric Karros. that's one of the things that could possibly happen, and I don't think anyone really argue too much about that. Well, like I said, this is my list, and it's not perfect. This is my opinion, and everyone's going to have their own. And I think overall, probably about 80%, no one's going to disagree and being included. Maybe the position, but at least being included. So just let me know down below what you think, who you think should be ranked higher, who you think should have been included ahead, who did I totally forget. Remember, some of them have actually played other positions, so kind of be mindful of that one, especially, being part in the outfield or labeled as a DH. So that's like David Ortiz and Edgar Martinez. Both of them were actually first baseman initially, but then became a prominent role as a DH. And, we'll just kind of go from there. Once you're down there commenting, you can also, hit that thumbs up once again. You can also share this video with friends and family. It really helps promote this channel out. And once you hit that subscribe button, make sure you click that bell. Let you know next time I post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.